Alright, Hamper.
Yoran, what the fuck is going on?
Can we talk somewhere?
Did you guys kill Basem?
Uncle D did.
Why?
It is a very long story.
Did you assist in killing Basem?
Well, I wasn't there when it happened, but we were looking out for him.
Who is we?
Me, Egg, Lando, and Stag.
So Denzel got you guys all wrapped up in this fucking bullshit. For what?
No, it's more complicated than that. Can we, meet somewhere?
Yoran, why did he kill him?
You want the full story? You got time?
I want to know why. Before I even hear this full story.
Short story is... Basem was in prison saying things about Uncle D he shouldn't have. Andy got pissed. He eventually pulled a gun on Andy. Denzel found out. He met with Basem and he gunned him down with an AK.
So this is literally Fall of Troy. Is what you're saying right now.
The only issue we will have is that Andy and I were seen with Basem a while before.
Yes, it's already leaking everywhere.
But this was long before that happened.
Who tortured Basem?
I pulled off 2 of his fingernails.
Why?
Andy wanted me to.
Andy made you pull off 2 of his fingernails.
He was saying shit about Uncle D he shouldn't have.
Like what?
Talking about some of the stuff he does in office with guns and drugs.
So because he's running his mouth, somehow you're forced to pry his fingernails by Andy.
We were trying to make sure he wouldn't tell anyone about the Uncle D stuff. And then when Uncle D came around, he took care of him, I guess. We didn't really expect them to do that.
What was she thinking when she told you to do this?
She was very angry. She took him to the Chicken Man spot.
And what, she called you and said, hey, come torture this guy? How did this happen exactly?
So this all started with... All right, I'll tell you the long story. So this started with... there was... Conan Clarkson showed up to Autos one time and ran over James Arsenal and shot his shotgun in the building. They were having a court case for it yesterday. Basem and a bunch of people from Autos were witnesses because they're also involved with the business. Conan Clarkson went by earlier yesterday before the court case and ran over James Arsenal again and shot his shotgun. So when they got to the court case, for some reason the judge was kind of siding with the city guardsman. And Basem was arguing with the judge. The judge gave Basem the 9s and fined him $500,000. So Basem was freaking the fuck out in prison, and Andy went to go visit him. And that's when he was just saying a lot of stuff that pissed off Andy at all, because I was on the phone a little bit outside. But she said he was saying a bunch of stuff about Uncle D in prison that he shouldn't be, that no one can hear. So she took him out to near the lighthouse and was asking questions about Uncle D to make sure he wouldn't tell anyone else or talk about it. And after that, we ended up... later, we went to Autos to fix up Uncle D's car. We fixed it up. Then after that, Basem wanted a one-on-one talk with Andy. Lando and I hid in the trunk to make sure he didn't do anything crazy. He didn't know we were there. He ended up pulling a gun on her, but by the end of the conversation, he just gave her the gun. This was in Chumash. We ended up leaving him in Chumash, and I guess he hung out in Chumash for a little while, and then he contacted Denzel because he said he wanted to tell Denzel himself because he knew Denzel was going to find out. So Denzel and Andy show up there. Me, Stag, Lando, and Egg knew they were going to get into something, so we followed them and watched them from a nearby mountain. And we saw them at the end of the pier with Basem. We saw Denzel blast him. We watched around the roads up and back to watch for any city guardsmen, and then we made sure they were out of there. And then we all left. And a little while later, the high clerics found Basem.
So,
yeah, I mean, I did not expect it to go that way.
okay, but so when did you guys torture him?
This was hours before Uncle D met with him.
So did you torture him after he went to prison for contempt or whatever?
Yeah. He told people he lost his fingernails to Bovice. And no one saw him out of prison with his fingernails but us.
Okay, and where did this happen?
A random spot in the middle of nowhere near the lighthouse.
Is where you tortured him.
Yes.
And why did you do it?
Because Mary Andy said she needed me to help Uncle D.
She needed you to help Uncle D, meaning rip his fingernails off so he keeps his mouth shut.
Yes.
And you guys think that's a good way of making somebody keep their mouth shut?
I don't know. I thought I was helping Uncle D.
There's not a good bush. Just lay down.
If you guys... This leaked everywhere, Bjorn. If you guys wanted to keep the cocksucker, keep his mouth shut, you should have put a bullet in his head, throw him in the ocean. Not torture the guy, let him live so this shit can leak everywhere. I told you guys from the very fucking beginning to be very careful around Andy. Very careful.
All right. I'm sorry. I thought I was helping Uncle D.
Well, you have nothing to apologize for. I don't like that Andy was saying that this is going to help Denzel somehow. I don't understand how this helps Denzel. Like, I don't know if I'm missing the point, but I don't get it. You need to lay low. Come up with a story. Because people are already talking about the fact that you and Andy were the last people to see with Basem. They're going to come knocking and asking you questions.
Okay.
Okay? Talk to the guild, set up some sort of story, get your alibi straight, make sure you guys all have the same stories, okay?
Okay. I mean, no one else knows anyone else is involved but me and Andy, I think. No one knows. Lando was with us at Autos and stuff, but I don't think anyone recognized him.
Yeah, but you should make up a story that you were with the guild, and then have the guild confirm that alibi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, and just make sure your stories are straight. Just please, for now, Bjorn, distance yourself from this shit. Okay?
Okay.
Just distance yourself. The guild, distance yourself. Please don't take orders from Andy ever again. For the love of God, please. I know I wasn't around, but if she's going to ask you to do something fucking crazy, please call somebody else who, can actually tell you what to do and is experiencing this shit.
I didn't think it was going to escalate like this.
Well, when people don't know what the fuck they're doing, it's going to cause a mess, right? And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Andy giving the orders to do this shit. Okay?
All right.
If a guy talks what you do is you kill that motherfucker for talking. You don't torture him and cross your fingers that he keeps his mouth shut, because he's one, even if he doesn't talk, he's alive and things are going to leak. For example, him being alive, people are seeing you and Andy, the last people with him. He's already tortured at that point. It's a mess now. If a motherfucker talks and you need to get rid of the motherfucker, you kill his ass. Period.
Okay.
Throw him in the ocean. Forget about him.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to. This started with Andy and I talking and just gonna hang out at Dean's World, and somehow led to that. And it seemed like I needed to do it to help Uncle D.
So what, he said that he sold guns. What else did he say?
I didn't hear the whole thing. I was outside for a little bit, but he was talking. It's something about guns and drugs. He was talking about Uncle D was in prison and people were around, and it pissed off Andy.
And how did Andy know that he talked about this?
He did it to Andy, like in the visitation area.
Oh, he was telling her, like, oh, Denzel
Yeah.
sells guns and blah, blah, blah.
I don't know exactly what he said, but he just was talking about that kind of stuff and Uncle D, like around people in visitation, and that's what pissed off Andy. And yeah, looking back, I wish.
Okay, so the
done
other
it right
people
there.
actually hear it though, or is she saying that other people heard it?
I don't know because I was outside on a phone call with someone for a second.
And she was in visitation, and he was on the
With
other side of
him.
visitation, right?
Yeah.
And they were right there.
Yeah.
Okay, just get her story straight, and just get ready for the cops are gonna come knocking. If I already know that you were involved before, not you were involved, but you're the last person seen with him before you even called me, I'm sure other people already know.
Well, I told Uncle D last night that Andy and I were seen at Autos with him a bit before.
And what did he say?
He wanted me to give him a list of everyone that was at Autos that saw him so he could kill them all.
And you really think that's smart, or what?
No, I didn't give him a list.
Good. I'll call you later.
All right.
This shit's a fucking